What if the reason you feel stuck isn't because you lack talent, but because no one ever showed you the way out? You wake up every morning with that heavy feeling in your chest. You want more, you need more, but the path ahead looks foggy, uncertain, maybe even impossible. And still, every day you watch people win. Not just celebrities or tech geniuses, regular people. People no smarter than you. People who just found a way to start. And maybe that's what hurts the most. You know deep down you're capable of more. You've had ideas. You've dreamt of a different life. Freedom from the paycheck to paycheck grind. Freedom from feeling behind. Freedom to spend your time the way you want. But somewhere between the bills, the doubt, and the pressure, the dream got smaller. And now you're here, searching, hoping, waiting for something to make sense. But here's the truth that changes everything. You don't have to wait anymore. You don't need permission. You don't need a degree. You don't need investors or 1 million followers or a 10-step plan. What you need is direction. And that's exactly what this is about. Because right now, there are business ideas in massive demand. Ideas that don't require years of experience. Ideas made for people who are just starting. Ideas that let you build income, freedom, and momentum without risking everything. Yes, this world is unfair. Some people are born with more money, more connections, more chances. But life doesn't reward the most privileged. It rewards the most resourceful. The ones who start small, the ones who learn fast, the ones who move when everyone else is still doubting. And maybe until now, you thought business was only for the bold, for the risk takers, the ones with charisma or capital. But real business, the kind that quietly builds freedom, starts with something different. It starts with a problem, a skill, a person who's willing to solve something that others won't. That person can be you. But you have to decide something first. You have to decide that this moment matters, that this isn't just another video you'll scroll past or half watch while multitasking, because what you'll hear isn't hype. It's not theory. These are real paths to real income. And yes, people are using them right now to walk away from jobs they hate, pay off debt, and rebuild their lives with meaning. If you're tired of consuming and ready to create, if you're tired of surviving and ready to rise, then lean in, listen closely, because this might just be the moment that rewrites your story. No more waiting for the right time. This is the right time, not because it's perfect, but because it's possible. Yes, it'll be hard, but staying stuck is harder. Living a life half-lived is the heaviest burden of all. And the cost of doing nothing? It's not just money, it's time. Time you'll never get back, dreams that quietly disappear, confidence that erodes until one day you look around and wonder where your potential went. You're not here by accident. There's a reason you clicked. A reason you're still watching. Something inside you refuses to settle. That voice, listen to it. It's not weakness. It's your future calling. Stay with this. Because if you do, by the end, you won't just have ideas, you'll have clarity. Direction, fuel. You'll know exactly where you can begin and how you can win. No fluff, no filler, just honest answers for people who are done waiting. So ask yourself, what if this is the moment your life starts to change? What if today, right here, is the beginning of something real? Watch till the end. The ideas you'll hear can unlock more than income. They can unlock your power, your purpose, your freedom. And that's worth everything. You don't need to be the smartest. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to be willing to move, because most people never do. They wait, they overthink, they look at the mountain instead of taking the first step. And in that hesitation, opportunity slips through their fingers. But here's what no one tells you. The people winning today, they didn't start with confidence. They started with action, and confidence came later. This world doesn't reward potential. It rewards proof, effort, consistency. You don't have to know everything, but you have to begin. And the truth is, there's never been a better time to start than right now, because we are living through a shift in how people work, earn, and live. A shift where traditional jobs no longer mean stability, where college degrees collect dust, where companies let go of people without warning. But at the same time, something powerful is rising. A new wave of opportunity built on speed, skill, and service. A wave anyone can ride if they're paying attention. And while the old world crumbles, a new one is quietly forming. One where people are building incomes from their laptops. One where knowledge, not credentials, opens doors. One where your phone becomes your business partner and your ideas become income. You don't need a loan. You don't need a fancy title. You don't even need years of experience. You need courage. You need urgency. And most of all, you need to understand why now matters more than ever. Because every day you wait, the window closes a little more. Opportunities that feel wide open today become crowded tomorrow. Markets that need help today become saturated next year. What feels like too early now will soon become too late. And while others hesitate, someone else is starting. They're not better than you. They're not more worthy. They just stopped waiting. They looked fear in the face and moved anyway. The internet has erased the gatekeepers. The middlemen are gone. You can learn anything, sell anything, reach anyone. The only thing stopping most people is themselves. Maybe you've tried before and failed. Maybe you started and stopped. Maybe you're afraid to look foolish, to fall short, to start small. That's normal. But let this sink in. No one sees the full picture at the beginning. Everyone starts messy. Everyone starts unsure. The difference between those who make it and those who don't is movement, repetition, commitment when motivation fades. It's not about having the best idea. It's about starting with the right energy. The kind of energy that says, I'm done waiting for luck. I'll build it myself. Because when you take ownership, everything changes. You stop blaming your past. You stop envying others. You stop giving your power away to people, systems, and excuses. You stop saying, I wish, and start asking what's next. And when that shift happens internally, life follows externally. This is about more than business. It's about breaking the cycle. It's about rewriting your identity from someone who watches to someone who builds, from someone who wishes to someone who works, from someone who hopes to someone who knows. Right now, the world is flooded with problems, and where there are problems, there's demand. People don't pay for your resume. They pay for solutions. They pay for speed, for clarity, for convenience. If you can offer any of those, even in the smallest way, you're already in the game. The barrier is not money. It's not experience. It's belief. You have to believe that your time matters, that your skills, no matter how basic, are valuable, that your ideas deserve to live outside your head. Because once you believe that, the excuses lose their power. The fear gets quieter and action becomes your default. Let others doubt. Let them wait. Let them say someday. But not you. You weren't made to watch life happen. You were made to shape it. And everything you need to begin already lives inside you. It just needs to be activated. So don't look around for approval. Don't look back for answers. Look forward with intention. Because this moment is calling for a different version of you, a braver one, a more focused one, one who understands that now is not a suggestion, it's a decision. If you keep walking the same path, you'll keep ending up in the same place. And you know that place. You've been there. You've felt the tension between what is and what could be. You've seen what happens when you wait too long. So don't go back to sleep. Don't talk yourself out of motion. The life you want isn't waiting. It's available, but only to those who choose it. If your heart is beating faster right now, it's not anxiety. It's possibility. And possibility doesn't last forever. It rewards the bold, the clear, the committed. So breathe in this moment. Let it stir something in you, because the path ahead isn't just an idea. It's a doorway, one that leads to ownership, income, impact, and a life that reflects who you really are, not next year, not when it's perfect. Now, starting isn't about knowing everything. It's about knowing what matters. And what matters most is choosing the right game to play. Not every business idea is worth your time. Some are noise, hype trends that vanish in months. Others look exciting but demand experience, capital, or endless hours just to survive. That's not what you need. What you need is leverage, simplicity, and direction toward businesses that give back more than they take. You need something real, something sustainable, something that works because it serves, solves, and scales. So ask yourself, what makes a business valuable, not just in theory, but in real life? It's not how flashy it looks. It's not how much attention it gets. It's not even how quickly it goes viral. A valuable business is one that helps people solve a real problem, one that saves time, reduces stress, or creates progress. One that people come back to again and again because it makes their lives easier or better. That's where the demand is. Not in being the loudest, but in being the most useful. If you can solve one small problem for one specific person, you can build something powerful. That's the secret most people overlook. They chase big ideas and ignore the simple ones that quietly build momentum, income, and freedom. You don't need $1 million idea. You need an idea that solves a $10 problem for 100 people, then a $100 problem for 1,000 people. Start small, start smart. That's how real growth begins. And here's what makes today different. The tools are in your hands. You don't need a warehouse. You don't need to open a store. You don't need a boardroom or a boss to give you a shot. You can use your phone, your laptop, your voice, your knowledge, your perspective. If you have the ability to communicate, you have the ability to create. But don't confuse simplicity with ease. These ideas are simple, yes, but they still require effort, consistency, and care. You can't copy someone else and expect magic. You have to make it yours. You have to bring your energy, your hunger, and your values into it. That's what sets you apart. That's what builds trust. That's what builds demand. And demand is the difference between a hobby and a business. When something is in demand, people don't need to be convinced. They're already looking. They're already searching for solutions. All you have to do is show up with clarity and serve with consistency. That's when everything changes. But clarity only comes when you understand the principles behind high demand businesses. They solve real problems, not imaginary ones. They help people make money, save time, reduce pain, or increase joy. They're focused, not scattered, specific, not vague. And they are built around people, not just products, because business is never just about transactions. It's about transformation. If you can take someone from frustration to freedom, from confusion to clarity, from stuck to progress, you're not just selling, you're serving. And people pay for that with gratitude.
This is where so many newcomers go wrong.
They look for shortcuts, hacks. They chase what looks impressive instead of what actually works. But impact beats impressiveness every time. You don't need to be flashy. You need to be effective. And to be effective, you need to care. You need to care enough to learn, to pay attention, to get better at what you do. Because the market doesn't care about your intentions. It responds to your impact. That's the mindset shift that separates action takers from excuse makers. Stop looking for perfect. Start looking for possible. Stop asking if it's too late. Start asking how soon you can begin. Because the right business idea isn't hidden. It's often right in front of you, in your skills, in your story, in your struggles. The things you've overcome, someone else is still stuck in. What helped you might help them. That's value. That's a spark. And when you follow that spark with focus and consistency, it becomes a fire. So don't waste energy wondering if you're ready. Readiness is a decision, not a feeling. Most people never feel ready because they wait for clarity to come before they act. But clarity comes from action, not before it. Start messy. Start uncomfortable. Start with what you have. But start. Because the longer you wait to build something of your own, the longer you remain dependent on systems that don't care about you, jobs that drain you, people who replace you, routines that bury your potential under tasks that make no impact. You were not made to be a background character in your own life. You were made to lead, to create, to rise. But that starts with choosing the right vehicle, choosing a business idea that fits who you are, what you care about, and what the world needs. One that gives you energy instead of stealing it. One that grows as you grow. And that business isn't far away. It's closer than you think. Because once you know what to look for, once you know the truth behind high demand ideas, you stop chasing noise and you start building something real. This is where clarity begins. This is the foundation. And this is your moment to rise above the confusion and step into action with purpose. Clarity without action is just another form of delay. Now that you understand what makes a business valuable, what actually creates demand, the next move is simple. Choose where to start, not later, not when it's perfect, now. Because momentum is built through movement, not more thinking. You've thought enough. You've analyzed enough. The only thing left is to begin, and to begin with ideas that don't just sound good, but work. There are paths right now, practical, profitable, and proven, that are open to people with no special background. You don't need to invent something. You don't need to disrupt an industry. You need to plug into what people already want and deliver it better, faster, or more simply. You can start with words. Businesses everywhere are starving for content. Or they don't have time to write. You do. Writing blog posts, emails, product descriptions. These aren't jobs of the past. They are opportunities of the present. Words drive attention. Attention drives sales. Sales drive growth. And you can position yourself at the center of that with nothing but a keyboard and a decision. You can start with knowledge. The world is flooded with information, but starving for clarity. If you can take what you know, no matter how simple, and teach it, you've created value. People are looking for guides, for shortcuts, for someone who's one step ahead. That can be you. Online tutoring, coaching, helping others level up in something you already understand. It's not about being the best. It's about being useful. You can start with service. There are thousands of small business owners drowning in tasks they don't understand. Managing social media, responding to emails, updating websites. They need help. They need someone who gets it. Someone who can organize, simplify, and communicate. You don't need a marketing degree to offer help. You just need initiative. Reach out, offer value, build relationships. It starts there. You can start with digital tools. AI is moving fast and most people are overwhelmed by it. But if you take just one tool, one program, one platform and master it, you can teach others how to use it. You can offer consulting, automation, or even done-for-you services. Because when you help people save time or eliminate stress, you become essential. These ideas aren't guesses. They're not hype. They're rooted in need, in behavior, in trends that are accelerating. They don't require funding, just focus. They don't require genius, just grit. What they do require is your commitment to stop making excuses and start learning by doing. It's not about speed, it's about direction. And once you've picked a direction, you create momentum. That's when you go from thinking to building, from waiting to earning. And that moment, when something you create earns money, that's the moment everything changes. Because money isn't just currency, it's proof, it's validation. It tells you I can do this. It shows you that your time has value, your ideas have impact, and your effort is not invisible. But you'll never feel that if you keep hesitating, if you keep consuming and never creating, if you keep making lists and never taking steps. The market doesn't wait for perfection. It rewards participation. No one starts with confidence. They build it. Every message you send, every offer you make, every mistake you learn from, it's shaping you. It's sharpening your skills. It's building your future. And yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. You'll doubt yourself. You'll mess up. You'll feel like it's not working. But growth is always born in resistance. Progress never feels smooth. But momentum builds when you keep going, even when it feels slow. This isn't about overnight success. This is about long-term freedom, the kind of freedom that compounds, the kind that lets you choose your day, your pace, your goals, the kind that turns strangers into clients and effort into independence. And you're not doing it for money alone. You're doing it to reclaim your time, your choices, your identity, because deep down, you've always known you were made for more than just survival. You weren't built to live on autopilot. You weren't meant to play small, to stay stuck, or to settle. You are capable of building something real, of contributing, creating, leading, serving. And every single day you wait is a day you lose the chance to live fully in that truth. So if you're looking for permission, this is it. If you're waiting for a sign, here it is. And if you've been looking for a reason to believe it's possible, let this be the reason. Thousands are doing it quietly, daily, from bedrooms and cafes and park benches and kitchen tables. They're not special. They just started and they kept going. Now it's your turn. Choose a direction. Take the first step. Let the world respond. And when it does, keep building, keep learning, keep showing up, because everything you want is possible, but only if you stop standing still. You're not late. You're right on time. But time moves, and so must you. Most people never start because they think they need more clarity, more time, more money, more confidence. But the truth is you don't need more. You need less overthinking, less waiting, less comparing, less doubt. Action doesn't come after clarity. Clarity is the result of action. It's not about being fearless. It's about doing it anyway, about showing up before you feel ready. Because readiness isn't something you wait for. It's something you build with every small move forward. And every move matters. Every message you send, every skill you learn, every offer you put out, it all stacks. It all counts. Most people get stuck at the starting line because they want step 10 before they've taken step 1. But growth never comes all at once. It comes through repetition, through imperfect attempts, through learning faster than you doubt. You don't have to be great to start, but you do have to start to become great. There's a moment in everyone's journey where they either step forward into discomfort or stay stuck in delay. That moment is now, and it won't feel magical. It'll feel scary, uncertain, maybe even chaotic. But that's how all transformations begin, with a decision you don't feel completely ready for, but take anyway. The fear won't vanish. The doubt won't disappear, but your belief can grow stronger, and belief is built by doing. Not thinking, not watching, not planning, but doing. Start small, send a message, offer help, post your skill, make your first sale, even if it's $10. That's not just money, it's proof. Proof that you're not invisible, that your effort has value, that your time can be traded for more than just a paycheck. That feeling, the moment someone pays you for your creation, your time, your service, that changes you. It shifts something inside you permanently. Or you stop seeing yourself as someone who's trying to build something and you start seeing yourself as someone who is building, because that's who you are now. A builder, a creator, someone who doesn't just watch the world move, they move with it. And you don't have to shout to be seen. You don't have to go viral to matter. Quiet consistency outlasts loud potential every time. The people winning long term, they're not always the loudest. They're the ones who kept showing up long after others quit. They're the ones who got better while others got bored. Repetition isn't failure, it's mastery. You don't need to reinvent yourself. You need to prove to yourself that you can keep going, even when it's slow, even when it's awkward, even when no one claps, especially then, because that's where the separation happens. That's where average ends and excellence begins. No one is coming to save you. No one is coming to push you. That's not something to fear. That's freedom. Because once you realize that you are your own permission, your own engine, your own accountability, you take back your power. You stop needing validation. You stop chasing approval. You stop outsourcing your worth to outside opinions. Your value doesn't come from likes or follows or perfect designs. It comes from solving problems, from showing up, from doing the work even when no one's watching. And when you do that long enough, something incredible happens. People start to notice, they start to trust, or they start to buy, not because you forced them, but because you earned it. That's how real business is built. Not overnight, not by luck, but by showing up with value again and again until trust is created. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are exactly where you need to be, but you can't keep waiting for something to give you permission to move. That permission has to come from you. So don't overcomplicate it. Don't wait for step 10. Take step 1 today. Start where you are with what you know and with what you have. That's always enough. And when it feels hard, because it will, remember that growth lives on the edge of resistance. The discomfort you feel, that's not a sign to stop. It's a sign that you're getting stronger, that you're leaving the version of you that used to wait and stepping into the one who acts. Every time you push through that discomfort, you become more focused, more confident, more capable. And before you know it, the life that felt far away begins to feel within reach. That version of you, the one who wakes up with purpose, with freedom, with momentum, that version isn't a fantasy. It's a decision. A decision to act when it would be easier to pause, to rise when it would be easier to stay down. You've waited long enough. You've thought long enough. Now is the time to move, because nothing will ever feel perfect. But progress feels powerful. And once you taste it, once you feel that shift, you won't want to go back. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be in motion. Everything you want is built on the other side of that first consistent action. Keep going, keep building, keep rising, because you were never meant to just watch the world change. You were meant to lead it. The hardest part is always the beginning. Not because the steps are complex, but because your mind will try to protect you from growth. It will whisper lies like you're not ready, you don't know enough. What if you fail? But here's the truth. Your mind doesn't fear failure. It fears change. Because once you change, the old version of you doesn't survive. The part of you that played small, the part that settled, the part that waited for the perfect time, that version dies the moment you decide to take full ownership of your life. And that's what this journey really is. Not just starting a business, not just earning money. It's about ownership over your choices, your time, your direction, ownership over who you're becoming and what kind of life you refuse to settle for. Building something from scratch forces you to confront everything, your habits, your discipline, your excuses. It reveals whether you're committed to progress or just addicted to the idea of success. It demands honesty. But through that discomfort, something powerful happens. You start becoming someone unshakable. Every time you choose action over anxiety, you build self-trust. Every time you deliver value, even when no one's watching, you reinforce your worth. And every time you show up when it's easier to give up, you separate yourself from the 99% who never finish what they start. Because most people want freedom. Few are willing to earn it. They want to skip the struggle and get to the reward. But the reward isn't found at the end. It's built in the struggle itself. That's where the strength is forged. That's where belief is earned. It's not about working endlessly or burning out. It's about working intentionally, knowing that every hour spent building now is a down payment on the life you want later. Every skill you sharpen becomes a tool you can use for years. Every lesson you learn makes the next move easier. You're not starting from nothing. You're starting from experience, from hunger, from clarity. You're starting from truth. And that truth is this: no one is coming to do it for you, but everything you need is already within you. You don't need to see the whole staircase. You just need to take the first step with conviction, and then the next, and then another, until one day you look back and realize you've built something real, something that didn't exist before. Something that came from you, not luck, not privilege, not circumstance, you. That's the kind of confidence that lasts. The kind that doesn't need external validation to feel solid. Because once you know what you're capable of building, no one can take that from you. That's when fear loses its grip. Because what's more terrifying than starting is staying stuck. What's more painful than failing is never trying. What's more exhausting than the grind is the regret of knowing you had the chance and let it pass. You don't want to be the person who looks back 5 years from now and still feels like they're waiting, still searching, still hesitating, because the pain of discipline fades, but the pain of regret echoes. This moment is not about speed. It's about alignment. It's about stepping into something that matches your hunger and your purpose, not chasing what looks trendy, not copying what others are doing, but building something authentic, something that lights a fire in you, not just for a week, but for the long run. The only way to discover that fire is to move toward it. Stop analyzing the flames and step into the heat. That's where growth lives. That's where transformation begins. And when it gets hard, because it will, you'll have two choices. Run back to safety or push forward into power. Most will choose comfort, but you're not most. You're still here, still listening, or still hungry. That's not by accident. That's proof. Proof that something inside you refuses to quit. So protect that. Nurture it. Let it guide your actions every single day, not with pressure, but with purpose. Remind yourself often this is your life, your time, your window, and windows don't stay open forever. If you're tired of starting over, stop quitting. If you're tired of being overlooked, show up louder. If you're tired of waiting for a sign, let this be it. You are not lost. You are just one decision away from momentum. Decide that your time has value, that your ideas have weight, that your work, flawed and unfinished as it might feel, is worthy of being seen. Decide that the vision in your heart is more important than the fear in your mind. And then act, speak, build, learn, repeat. Keep going no matter how slow, no matter how uncertain, because consistency doesn't lie. And every day you keep showing up, you're not just building a business, you're building belief. You're building freedom. You're building a life you don't need a vacation from. That's not a dream. That's a choice. And you get to make it right now. Nothing changes until you do. You can read every strategy, watch every tutorial, save every piece of advice. But if you don't move, none of it matters. Growth is not found in information. It's found in application. You can't think your way into a new life. You have to act your way into it. And that starts with choosing to break the cycle of hesitation, the cycle of consuming without creating, the cycle of saying someday instead of right now. Because every time you delay, every time you choose comfort over courage, you reinforce the identity of someone who stays stuck. But the moment you act, no matter how small, you start writing a different story. You shift from being the one who watches others win to being the one who builds, the one who rises, the one who gets up every day and puts in the work, not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. Your life will not change from one big leap. It will change through 1,000 silent, unseen efforts. The things no one applauds. The hours spent learning, failing, refining, improving. That's where breakthroughs are born, in the quiet grind. You must decide what kind of life you're willing to fight for, because comfort costs more than effort. Staying still feels safe, but over time it robs you of confidence. It eats away at your vision. It turns fire into doubt. That's the price of doing nothing, and it's far more expensive than failure. Failure teaches. Comfort dulls, one builds you, the other buries you. So if you fall, good, that means you're trying. If you mess up, perfect, that means you're learning. If you feel unsure, you're on the edge of something important, stay there. Don't run from it. Let it shape you. Let it sharpen you. That tension is a sign you're alive. That fear is proof you care. Every successful person you admire, every builder, creator, leader, started with fear, started with doubt, started with a mess. But they moved. They pushed through the noise. And because they kept moving, they got better, stronger, clearer. And now they stand where you want to be, not because they were chosen, but because they chose. You can make that same choice, not tomorrow. Not when you have more money, more time, more support now. Because all those things come after you start, not before. You earn time. You build confidence. You attract support. But only once you've committed to the process. Start before you feel prepared. Speak before you feel polished. Offer before you feel qualified. It's in the doing that you grow. And when you do it long enough, something shifts. What once felt impossible becomes normal. What once felt heavy becomes light. What once felt like a stretch becomes your new baseline. Because you didn't give up. You stayed in the game long enough for the game to change. That's what separates those who build from those who watch. And if your mind tries to convince you it's too late, remind yourself the clock doesn't decide your destiny. Your decisions do. You can start late. you can start scared. You can start with doubt in your chest and shaking in your hands. But if you start, you give yourself a chance at freedom, a chance at impact, a chance at living a life that feels fully yours. This isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming present to your potential, present to your vision, present to the fact that the only thing standing between who you are and who you want to be is action, not flawless action, not massive action, just real, honest, consistent action. The kind that compounds, the kind that builds trust with yourself, the kind that makes you look in the mirror and say, I'm doing this for real this time. Because you owe it to yourself. You owe it to the future you who's counting on today's version of you to follow through. You owe it to your vision, your family, your freedom. You owe it to every version of you that doubted their worth and wondered if they'd ever get a shot. This is your shot. This is your sign. This is your time. The world doesn't need more talkers. It needs builders. People willing to show up when it's hard. People willing to fail forward. People who don't just chase goals, they embody them. That can be you, but only if you commit. Burn the excuses, ignore the noise, and choose to rise. Not in theory, not in inspiration, in execution, in relentless, focused, courageous execution. Because once you move with that energy, nothing can stop you. And from that place, everything becomes possible.